This right here is video of federal agents arresting one of two people accused of interfering with an immigration enforcement operation at an Ontario surgery center. This happened earlier this month. The pair were caught on camera trying to shield a landscaper who ran into the building as ICE agents moved to detain him.
Tonight, U.S. Attorney Bill Essayli, he joins us with why his office is pursuing charges and what message he hopes this sends. Thank you so much, U.S. Attorney Essayli, for being with us tonight. Before we get to that message, let's talk about the target of this investigation, the landscaper, an illegal immigrant from Honduran. What else were you pursuing him for?
Well, he was under investigation for being in the country here unlawfully. That is a crime. And he was being pursued by federal agents. He ran into this surgery center. He's not a patient there. I think it was widely reported in the media at the time that the insinuation was that he was a patient or he was there for an appointment. That's not true. He was running to evade the federal agents. And then these particular workers inside the medical facility took it upon themselves to interfere, to get in the way, and to put their hands on our agents.
And so the crime you're saying is that you are not allowed to interfere with a federal investigation like that, and so that is a federal crime, right?
It is a federal crime to interfere with our investigations, and it is specifically a federal crime to lay a hand on a federal agent. Both of the people charged physically touched the agents. They obstructed and they touched them. And that is what they were arrested for today. And we want to be clear because there's an idea out there that somehow there's safe areas or sanctuaries, whatever you want to call it. There are no sanctuaries from federal law. It doesn't matter if it's a hospital, a medical facility, a court, a church. There is no sanctuary from the enforcement of federal law.
So for critics who see this and say, you know, hey, they didn't know what in the world was going on. Here comes a man who seemingly needs help, and here comes law enforcement, and we're just trying to do what we thought was right. What's the message that you're sending with these arrests today?
They may have not known who the target was, but they knew those were federal agents. They identified themselves, and in fact, I think one of the defendants was asking for a warrant. So they very well knew they were law enforcement officials. This idea that they have a right to question federal agents, that's not how our system works. If you want to challenge the actions of the government, we do that in court. We do not do that in the streets. So we want to make it very clear to anyone out there who sees our agents at work, do not get in our way. Do not touch our agents. If you lay a hand on our agents, you will be arrested, whether in the moment or weeks later or a month later, it doesn't matter. We'll find you, we'll arrest you, and you'll face federal charges. This is not a game. And we are not playing, so do not touch our agents.
So what's the potential penalty for these guys for touching the agents?
Well, they are charged with a felony. They do face, I believe, up to 8 years in prison is the maximum. Most people do not get the maximum. It is going to be decided by a judge who will look at the criminal history and their conduct and make an appropriate sentence at the time if and when they're convicted.
About criminal history, what do we know about the Honduran that was taken into custody? Does he have a criminal history?
I don't have that information. He's an illegal alien, and so therefore he was in the country unlawfully, and I believe he's been deported. And that is what we will continue to do here in California and everywhere else. If you're here unlawfully, you're subject to arrest and deportation. There is no sanctuary.
Meanwhile, there was an executive order signed by President Trump this week about homelessness, basically giving more authority to enforce homelessness. Can you explain? There was some confusion even among homeless advocates here about what exactly this does.
Yeah, what it does is it incentivizes cities to prioritize the enforcement of what we call anti-vagrancy laws, anti-camping laws. So traditionally, the way you deal with vagrants, and I do think there's a difference between homeless people and vagrants. Some people are legitimately down on their luck, and there are tremendous amount of services out there that are available for them. You have other class of people, for whatever reason, whether it's mental health issues or drug addiction issues or whatever, they do not want services. They do not want to take advantage of those. They want to live on the street, and they often cause problems, whether it's open drug use or littering or whatever. So what this executive order does is it says we're going to prioritize funding of grants to those cities that are actually cleaning up their communities. And you do that by enforcing anti-camping laws. you go after open drug use, you don't hand out needles to people on the street, and you enforce things like littering and other such things that we call quality of life crimes. So cities that do that will be prioritized for federal funding. That's the gist of the executive order.
And just to clarify this, because this is where some of the confusion is, there's a difference between incentivizing, meaning we're going to give you money if you do something well, and we're going to take away money from you if you're not doing what we want. Which one is it?
My understanding is this is forward-looking, so this is for the distribution of grants and the awarding of grants moving forward by HHS and DOJ is going to be prioritizing those cities that are actually making efforts to clean up vagrancy and clean up their communities. So I think this is perspective looking rather than looking back to take money away.
So just to be completely clear here, this isn't a la ICE raids where it's going to be Fed raids on the homeless. You're leaving it to the cities and incentivizing the cities.
Yeah, listen, the federal government's biggest leverage often is the purse. I mean, there's a lot of federal funds that are doled out to cities and states, and the best way we can incentivize them is with money. The cities have the tools and rules and laws on the books to do this. They just refuse not to. And we would like to see people off the streets and inside treatment. People who are mentally ill or addicted to drugs are not going to voluntarily go. They have to be compelled. And the way you do that is by enforcing all these other laws that we've talked about.
Yeah, and Governor Newsom has often talked about that too. He's trying to sort of incentivize the counties using the purse of the state money. So we have some statements from both Governor Newsom and LA Mayor Bass. Let's show you what Governor Newsom said. Last year, the governor issued an executive order addressing encampments that was based on the law and the facts, not harmful stereotypes and ineffectual public policy. Like so many of Trump's executive orders, this order is more focused on creating distracting headlines, settling old scores, and producing any positive impact. But his imitation, even poorly executed, is the highest form of flattery, basically suggesting they're already doing this. Mayor Bass saying this executive order is deeply concerning. Moving people from one street to the next or from the street to jail and back again will not solve this problem. Your response?
Well, I mean, is it so hard for the governor to thank the president for helping and doing something right? I mean, that's just where we are in politics, I guess. But listen, I've been a prosecutor. I've done misdemeanor court where we had people come into court when they're facing criminal charges. And the choice they've given is, do you want to go to jail or do you want to get treatment? Almost everyone goes to treatment. It is a mechanism to get people help. And a lot of people, once they finally get treatment, they're able to make better decisions and be a better place in life. I do not think it is humane or compassionate to let people live out on the street. And there's open sores, there's drug use, they're being abused. It's not a good thing. So we need to get people off the street and into treatment.
U.S. Attorney Bill Essayli, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thanks for having me.